This is Valley News Live at 5.
The U.S. Supreme Court ruled today that the NCAA cannot stop colleges and universities from giving education-related benefits to lure student athletes. The University of North Dakota says, based on today's ruling, we will immediately work to understand how this may affect our student athletes. We look forward to working with our 3 sports conferences and receiving guidance to better ascertain what today's ruling will mean for us moving forward. Meanwhile, North Dakota State University says it's too early for them to comment, but today's ruling undercuts the NCAA's efforts to prevent outright payment to student athletes, a policy now under attack in state houses around the country. Alice Barr has the latest from Washington.
It's touchdown!
A big win for student athletes today as the Supreme Court rules the NCAA cannot limit certain education-related benefits. It's a blow to the organization that had hoped the ruling would be a firewall in the larger fight over compensating college athletes. Instead,
it's not a firewall, it's burning down the system.
Jeffrey Kessler represents plaintiff Martin Jenkins, a former Clemson University football player.
Jenkins to the 10, and he scores!
We put a lot on our shoulders. We do a lot for the schools. And so being able to be compensated for that in any claim or in any fashion whatsoever is an absolute win.
The High Court unanimously found that the NCAA violated antitrust laws when it limited what students could receive for things like musical instruments, postgraduate scholarships, and paid internships. The sports governing body argued it doesn't want to blur the line with professional sports and that fans appreciate the amateur, unpaid nature of college competition. But the court dismissed that idea, with Justice Brett Kavanaugh writing, quote, "The NCAA's business model would be flatly illegal in almost any other industry in America." Athletes hope this is a step toward being able to share in the riches reaped by their schools.
When you earn billions of dollars off the backs of these athletes, you have to treat them fairly.
The ruling ratchets up the pressure on the NCAA as it considers whether student athletes can be compensated for the use of their names and images, opening the door for potentially lucrative endorsements.
Adding to the pressure, more than a dozen states have already passed laws allowing compensation for student athletes' names and images, and several of those laws take effect next month. Congress is considering a bill to establish a nationwide standard. Our below average days won't last long, so if you're liking this weather, we'll tell you how long it'll last. But first, let's find out from Hutch what's happening this evening. Hey, Hutch.
Andrea, thanks so much. As we take a look outside, we have a few high clouds drifting overhead. As you saw in the sky cam there, we still are in the 50s from Bemidji through Baudette down into Detroit Lakes and Wadena, where we were this morning with Al Roker. More on that in a minute. 66 in Jamestown, 62 for Devil's Lake. A few clouds passing overhead, northwest winds brisk, gusting over 20 miles per hour. Popcorn showers showing up in the Arrowhead of Minnesota. Most of our area will stay dry tonight, but it will be breezy and cool through the evening. 60s here in Fargo. We'll eventually see the winds die down, the clouds decrease as we head into the after sunset hours. Grand Forks temperatures on their way into the 40s by bedtime tonight. I'll tell you how low we go here in a minute. We'll have a chance to catch up with some warmer weather that's heading our way, and another look at rain in the forecast here in just a couple of moments.
Okay, thank you, Hutch.
You bet.
Police in Valley City are looking for a high-risk sex offender who tampered with his ankle monitor is now running from police. Police learned of his disappearance on Friday after North Dakota Parole and Probation asked them to check on him. Leslie Allery is 6'1", 255 pounds. He was convicted of luring a minor by computer and promoting obscenity by asking a young girl for her underwear. If you see him, call police. Tonight on Valley News Live at 6, we'll hear from concerned neighbors who tell us they didn't even know Allery was a sex offender. Meanwhile, in Fargo, police are warning you about a high-risk sex offender in the city. Tyree Gardner is currently living at 735 14th Street North. He's convicted of gross sexual imposition against a girl who was under the age of 15 at the time of the incident. High-risk sex offenders are considered the most likely to reoffend. A man is in jail after stealing dozens of golf carts in 7 states, including North Dakota, Minnesota, and South Dakota. And now the FBI is looking for people who may have bought the stolen carts. Nathan Nelson is linked to 63 golf cart thefts. Some of the places hit were Maple River Golf Course in Mapleton, Hillcrest Golf Club in Jamestown, and All Season Motorsports in West Fargo. The FBI says the value of the stolen golf carts is more than $283,000. If you think you may have purchased a stolen golf cart, call the FBI's Fargo office at this phone number, 232-7241. The Cass County Jail expansion is moving slightly ahead of schedule. The project will double the workspace and housing capabilities within the booking area. The jail will be doubling its amount of holding cells to 20. Officials say the project is scheduled in 2 phases, and the first phase is set to be completed by November.
We're excited about it, and definitely will help with public safety in our community.
The construction bid is over $4.7 million and is set to be completed by next June. We are learning more about the fire that destroyed 2 decks at an apartment complex last week. Damage is estimated at $365,000. Firefighters went out to 3325 17th Avenue South last Monday after reports of flames shooting from the roof. No one was hurt, but a dog had to be rescued from one of the apartments. Still no word on the cause. A workshop and everything inside is destroyed after a fire near Hawley this morning. It happened on property at 15th Avenue North. The property owner tells us they woke up around 3:30 this morning and saw the building on fire. They said the roof was already gone by that time. Later this morning, the fire was still burning. No one was hurt. A local bird rescue is still searching for nearly 80 parakeets released into the wild last week. The Center for Avian Adoption in West Fargo says one of the budgies was found over the weekend near the sugar beet plant in Moorhead. He's alive, but he's in tough shape. Officials say that 4 other parakeets were found dead. 21 budgies and several newly hatched baby birds were brought to the shelter on June 16th by the same man who said he had just released 80 more pet birds near the Moorhead Country Club. If you see one, you can catch them by putting a towel or a butterfly net over them. Plans are underway to again work on a busy stretch of South Fargo. It's part of the continuing upgrade of 32nd Avenue South east of I-94. Valley News Team's JC Dodd joins us now with more details on the project. JC.
Yeah, Andrea, rush hour traffic can be a problem on many streets, and 32nd Avenue South is just one of them. I'm standing here on the west side of the corner of Essentia Health, and behind me you can see a big chunk of what will be worked on in the future. In years past, 32nd Avenue to the west of me and crossing over I-29 has been improved. What's being talked about is replacing the pavement. It's definitely seen better days along 32nd Avenue South, improving the sight lines for drivers, basically making it much safer. And then upgrading the pipes underneath the road, they are just too small. Here's a timeline, and with so many decisions to be made, it won't be done this year. The city is hoping to have plans approved by around Thanksgiving from their bids in the spring with work to be done on next road construction season. That will give businesses in the area time to plan, as construction hassles will be there. Reporting live in South Fargo, JC Dodd, Valley News Live.
All right, thanks, JC. The estimated cost of the work will be $8.5 million, and that's paid for through federal highway dollars. Even though people drove a lot less during the pandemic, traffic deaths were way up. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration estimated that 38,680 people died in crashes in 2020. That is the largest projected number of deaths since 2007. There will be more opportunities for people in Grand Forks to get the vaccine. Grand Forks Public Health released the dates and locations for this week's mobile vaccination clinics. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine will be offered, but Pfizer and Moderna will be available for those who need to complete the vaccine series. Meanwhile, Fargo Cass Public Health is announcing a schedule change to its Tuesday walk-in clinic. Starting July 6th, the walk-in clinic will operate on Tuesdays from noon to 6. Appointments can also be made by calling the number on your screen, 241-1383. You can find more information about vaccine clinics on our website, valleynewslive.com. Still to come, it was a deadly weekend in the South, and now folks are dealing with drenching rain from a storm that just won't leave them alone.
And we had a big cool down and recent rainfall this month. As a matter of fact, Fargo not doing too bad with over 3 inches total in the rainfall gauge. 3 1/4 inches in an average entire month of June. We usually get about 4 inches. There's more in the forecast. I'll tell you all about it. Join me. Weather next.